You ever wake up and realize your car is gone, not stolen by some stranger in the night, but by your own HOA? Yeah, that's how this all started for me. My Dodge Challenger pride and joy vanished without warning. No explanation, just gone one morning. The best part, when I found out where it went, I saw this smug kid, bleached hair attitude for days, grinning like he owned the place, driving my car like I was the outsider on my own block. See, these people thought they knew who they were dealing with. Margot with her death grip on that clipboard, her kid with the inherited arrogance, none of them had any clue. By the time they finally realized, well, too late. Way too late. If you've ever had an HOA nightmare or a neighbor who thinks they're running a kingdom, you'll get this. This story. It's my personal war story. And honestly, the battle lines were drawn before I even moved in. I thought Maple Ridge was going to be my sanctuary after a decade and a half of big city chaos. Sirens, break-ins, the endless hunt for parking. I'm a software engineer, nothing flashy, except for the Hellcat out front, which, let's be real, is the one thing I allow myself to brag about. That car's more than just metal and horsepower. It's a symbol of finally making it. I moved in, figured the biggest challenge would be learning everyone's names and maybe remembering to water the lawn. First week I got slapped with a violation for parking too close to the sidewalk. My own driveway, 3 feet from the curb. I laughed it off, honest mistake, right? Nope. Next day another ticket. This time for the car being too flashy. I looked around at all the acceptable sports cars, red Corvette, yellow Camaro. Not a peep about them. It wasn't about cars, not really. It was about me. That's when I met Margot Dubois, the HOA president. Picture every cliche you know about the type-perfect blonde Bob Country Club wardrobe and a smile so rehearsed you could practically hear the gears grinding behind her eyes. She knocked on my door, clipboard locked and loaded, and hit me with a Mr. Thorne, I presume, like she was the sheriff and I was the outlaw. Invited her in, made coffee, tried to keep it friendly. Big mistake. She started in on community standards, which in her world seemed to mean don't stand out unless I say it's okay. She rattled off bylaws, none of which made sense. Excessive use of space. Non-conforming vehicle. I asked for specifics, started taking photos of where I parked, measuring inches from the curb every morning. None of it mattered. Every day, a new violation. My grass, my porch plants, my window blinds. Always something, always me. But what got under my skin was Margot herself circling the block every morning and night, staring at my house like she was daring me to step out of line. Sitting in her white Mercedes, scribbling on her clipboard, engine running. I knew what it was, harassment with a spray of perfume and a fake smile. Then came the certified letter. Final warning, keep it up and we'll impound your vehicle. The word impound hit me like a sucker punch. I dug into the bylaws and found a clause buried in legal mumbo-jumbo that technically let them remove cars if they posed a continuing threat to community standards. Total nonsense, but enough to make me sweat. Still, I wasn't moving. Not this time. I'd done that too many times before. This house was mine, and I wasn't going to be scared off by a petty tyrant with a clipboard. Then one morning, the Challenger was gone. Not a sound in the night, just an oil stain and tire tracks. I sat there on the stoop, mug of coffee in hand, trying to process it. After a half hour of phone calls, I tracked it down to a so-called HOA impound lot, a fenced dirt patch behind a tow yard. $500 a day in storage fees. Legal. The tow guy just shrugged. He'd seen it all, didn't care. Lady had the paperwork, he said. Not my job to argue. That was my breaking point. But just as I was about to lose it, my neighbor showed up, elderly, quiet, always tending her perfect rose garden. She slipped me a plate of cookies and, more importantly, a manila envelope with the original HOA bylaws. Turns out Margot had doctored the rulebook. The actual bylaws were way less restrictive, and here's the kicker, there was a loophole about visitor parking. Technically, if you called your own car a visitor, you could park it on the street up to 24 hours, no questions asked. Legal, petty, and exactly what I needed. I coughed up the impound ransom. Almost $2,000 got my car back and started parking it on the street, with a big visitor parking sign. Every day moved it to a different spot, always within the rules. Margot went ballistic. The violation notices piled up, but I started fighting back, reporting her for everything she messed up, from trash cans left out to improper hedge trimming. It got ridiculous. My phone became a database of photos, timestamps, measurements. Sitting on my porch, I'd watch her pace her yard, clearly fuming while I sipped my coffee. Then came the escalation, a 3-page legally threatening letter full of fake citations and wild claims about emergency seizure. I started researching. Every law she referenced, half didn't exist. The rest had nothing to do with HOAs. Margot was bluffing badly. But then it happened one morning, flatbed tow truck Margot out front with her son, Kyle, bleach blonde, mid-20s tank top, and that smug look you see in mugshots. By the time I ran outside, my car was halfway onto the truck. I demanded paperwork. Margot just waved her clipboard like it was a royal decree. Kyle grinned at me. "Car's mine now. Mom's giving it to me payment for helping out." The way he looked at me, I knew exactly what he meant. He wasn't talking about helping. He was talking about who deserves what, who belongs, who doesn't. When I tried to film it, he yanked my phone from my hand, cracked the screen for good measure. "Don't need this anymore," he laughed. "The police civil matter," the officer said. "Take it up with the courts." Meanwhile, Kyle drove my car up and down the block, blaring music, taunting me. He stuck racist decals all over it, posted videos online. It was open season on my dignity, and I couldn't do a thing about it. For a week, I barely left the house, felt like a stranger in my own life. But you know what? That's when the mood shifted. Not because of what they did, but because I decided to stop running. I started talking to neighbors. Turns out I wasn't alone. The Hispanic woman down the block had lost her vegetable garden because it was too ethnic. The Korean family got fined for cultural decorations. Margot never went after the white families with flashy cars. She had a list of targets, people she didn't want here. That's all it ever was. I started building my case, documenting every violation, every bias, every shady financial move. That's when Evelyn, a retired attorney, reached out. She'd served on the board before quitting in disgust. Together we pieced it all together, emails with coded language, altered meeting minutes, proof of discrimination, even financial mismanagement. At the next HOA meeting, I walked in early, arms full of files. Margot, confident as ever, tried to steamroll through the agenda. When she opened the floor, I stood up, walked to the front, and laid it all out. Photos, records, witness statements, proof she'd given my car to her son, proof she'd doctored records, proof she'd targeted minorities and lined her own pockets. Margot tried to shout me down. That's when Evelyn stood up, recognized me from an old case. Turns out I'd worked in the state attorney's office prosecuting HOA abuse. The room went silent. The look on Margot's face when she realized who she'd been messing with, priceless. She'd been bullying the state's HOA prosecutor, building a case against herself. I could almost feel the whole room breathe out. Motion for a vote of no confidence unanimous. Margot was out. Kyle was ordered to return my car and pay damages. The state launched a full investigation. My Challenger came back spotless. No stickers, no dents, just a sheepish Kyle with an apology. Margot moved away, sent a letter admitting what she'd done, tried to make amends. Kyle went back to school, started volunteering at an immigrant center. The new HOA board rewrote the rules, made everything public, started real community events. The neighborhood finally felt like home. Funny thing, justice isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's just neighbors helping neighbors, people talking again, gardens growing back, families hanging decorations without fear. The hardest fights, yeah, they're the ones that actually matter. Would I do it all over again? I didn't plan to become a hero. I just wanted to park my damn car. But standing up, that's what changed everything. So your turn. What's the worst HOA story you've lived through? Drop a comment. Let's hear it. Justice, drama, wild neighbors, bring it on. And hey, if this story hit home, you know what to do. See you in the next one.